Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you for being here on Asking CxOs. How are you feeling today?
Doing great. A little bit hot here in Israel, but
Yeah,
other than that, I'm doing
hot,
well in the AC.
hot,
Yeah.
very hot. So before we start the interview, I would like if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, about who you are, family, friends, about the company. Um, yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
So my name is Ariel Avitan. I'm 43 years old. I'm married with two kids. Live in the beautiful town of Shoham, which nobody really knows where it is, but it's near the airport. And it's in actually center Israel. Um, I am currently the co-founder and the chief commercial officer of Percepto Robotics, which basically generates robotics and software to enable remote operations of heavy industrial sites. Prior to that, I worked for Signals Analytics, who were just bought by Kenshu for the last 5 years. I worked there for 5 years, and I was the VP of marketing and account management, and yeah, I'll work my way through back to product analyst and product manager at Toyota Security. Um, yeah, that's in a nutshell who I am, and
So let's talk a little bit Percepto technology. Tell us about the product, about the innovation process. Share with us what you can. And yeah, go ahead. Like, tell us what Percepta does, and what value you bring out to the infrastructure world.
so we started Percepto as a machine vision company. We thought of using a module that we created to make sure the drones that are like the first DJIs will have the ability to use machine vision for navigation. We quickly understood that the value of what we do is basically enable autonomy. So the machine vision enables systems to work with no need for human presence on the one hand, but on the other, we understood that DJIs are not systems that are capable to work in heavy industrial sites or sites that we think can get a lot of value from it. And that led us to basically um, generate, manufacture, design a whole set of new system, which is today called a DIB system, a drone in a box, which is basically a drone that has a base station. The drone lives in the base station, goes out, conducts missions, comes back, charges, then does that again and again and again. Um, we we designed the drone to be highly robust and rugged, so it can live outside. And I think that's the main difference today from our drone to any other drone in the world.
Yeah,
The ability to withstand weather conditions and live outside is something that is not an easy task to do. But fast forward now, we're the most deployed drone box in the world. We are developed in more. We're deployed in more than 11 countries, and we're growing rapidly into heavy industrial industries like the oil and gas industry, power distribution, power generation, solar sites, mining, like the most heaviest sites that you can think of,
yeah,
because the missions there are um, are costly, and the missions actually provide a lot of value to the end client. Last year, Percepto added a main layer, which is what we call the Percepto AIM, which is a software layer that enables us to not only manage the drone in a box, but manage ground robots. You can see on our website that we work on the Spot Boston Dynamics Spot robot. We do ground rovers.
yeah.
We do fixed cameras. Basically, anything that can collect visual information that we can convert into insights in heavy industrial sites. So that's basically what we do today.
So, what are the difficulties with Percepto's R&D, assembly line, production process, and how much it takes to improve your product, like every single time?
So first of all, if you're ever thinking about doing a startup, think twice if you're doing hardware and software. hardware is a very,
And why?
very so hardware is a very, very tough market to be in, especially
Yeah.
robotics. The need to make hardware reliable and to make sure that it can provide value is a long set of iterations where
Of
you can't.
course.
It's not like software, right? That you can do a POC in 6 months, do another round in like 8 months, and then in a year you have a product 1.0. Every time that you have hardware involved, it takes a long time to do any iteration, and that's something you can take in mind. I think on top of that, you have to understand that our clients are very slow. So, heavy industrial client, every sales cycle there is very, very long, and you have that mix. And for a startup that needs to move fast, that's a big challenge. It's also a big challenge for R&D because R&D has to work with the hardware, the software and the hardware need to work together, and that's something that there's a lot of delays in. But if you have a good team and a good management team, mid management, project managers and product managers, we get a very good capability of understanding, how to work together and how to meet the goals at the end.
Hmm.
So a main challenge, hardware startups are main challenges.
Uh-huh. So I have like I gotta understand something. Um, like last question, you mentioned that you work with the most with the biggest sites in the world, like oil and energy, and let's jump on the oil and energy sites. Um, extremely developing world. How how would you see? How would you describe a uh, prospective progress in 5 years from now? And will it stand by the capabilities that the market faces?
No, I think that Percepto as a company already proved itself in terms of the ability to provide value, and now it's about adoption in the mass market. We already
Yeah.
deployed a number of oil and gas refineries and power generation sites,
Hmm.
and the value is very clear. I think the next stage is to solve a lot that has to do with regulation for flights, but also present a more easier way to integrate with these big giants to make sure that we can get the value of tomorrow. So I think in 5 years' time, you'll see a lot of these big sites going into transformation mode from old school, 600 people on site to remote operations with 30 people on site because you have robotics
Hmm.
doing the work for them in terms of data collection and analysis. And the technical capability is already here. Now it's all
Yeah.
about the
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 adoption.
yeah rate of adoption for these big sites.
Yeah, absolutely. So good insight. Now I have like a different question, like in a very different space. So let's talk about B2B marketing and sales. What is in your mind the best selling B2B strategy, and how does it work? You have all those words that fall into one strategy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how you provide the value, because you have the hardware, you have the product. Now how you go there and present the value to the end customer, and you're telling them, hey, I have end-to-end product. See, like come and see how you do it.
So I'll talk about what we call heavy B2B, which is not your retail, but your next big power utility. It's a very different way of working. You have to identify the stakeholders and decision makers within that big utility. There's not a lot of them in the world, so that's easy. The easy part. The harder part is to get to them and to influence them. So there's a lot of strategy in the marketing, heavy B2B marketing, account-based management, and account-based marketing is something that you have to take in mind because you're looking at very small numbers of companies, but and then in the companies you have X amount of people that you want to address, but the penetration into that organization is not an easy task. For Percepto, marketing is very important because we're a very visual company. We have something to show. It's not a software, so I
Yeah.
can show a drone and I can show a box, and there's a lot of work there. But the next stage of showing the value and how it works That's a whole different ball game. Percepto in general is on the sales strategy, like I said, is account-based management, account-based marketing. But then afterwards, we're moving into what we call land and expand, or that's a common understanding of how to do work. Basically, any company that I look at that doesn't have a potential for expansion in the multi millions that I want is not a relevant client because I won't put the effort of a client that can buy one system or two systems.
Yeah.
At the end goal, I want to get to a place where I'm talking to clients that have the potential of hundreds of
Hmm.
systems, not thousands of systems. So I have to land, which is the sales group and the marketing group.
Yeah.
After I land with the first system, then account management, customer success, our operations, their job is to make sure that the client is super, super happy. And that's a main focus here in Percepto.
Yeah.
Client is number one at all times, even if it costs a lot of money. The idea is to make them super happy and get the value from the system. And then the expand part of based on success, based on the value that we bring,
Yeah.
to get more and more sites into the mix of that organization.
Yeah. Now, before making the customer satisfied, because of the value you're providing, how do you go there? How do you go to the decision makers? Like, there is like the minimal wage, of decision makers, but how you go there and influence them? How do you make the connection? Is it networking, or I don't know, you're messaging on LinkedIn? How you do this? And from that, little step, how you take it a little bit forward and take it step by step and showing them the how we're and how it will, like, can be fit to their specific needs.
So you have two main approaches. Of course, there's the outbound and inbound. Inbound, the main generator would be marketing, the ability again to make sure that decision maker within a utility company always sees your banners, always sees your data on LinkedIn, on any social media, and that once that becomes a routine, a lot of PR and analyst relations, public relations, so on, it's easier for our outbound team, which is SDRs, sales managers, and so on, to contact that person, and then he already knows. Hopefully, he already knows what Percepto is and what we do. The second way we work a lot on the network, both our clients' network. We're not shy of asking our clients to give us, the names of their counterparts in other companies because they know one another. This is a very small industry.
Yeah.
They know who's their competitors and what they do. And usually, if they're happy with you, they'll be more than happy to provide that information to you. And we know we can also reference our good work and our client to them, and that's how sales starts on the network. And we do also have cold calls, making sure that again, a cold call for us is not something out of the blue. It's because the person in the organization is a very targeted individual.
Yeah.
He knows that companies like us would want to talk to him about the value that we can bring. So we're not shy there, and we push that aggressively as well. For young startups, it's just taking that gut of picking up the phone. And I think that in most cases, you'll find that the other side wants to talk to you if you have something interesting to say. Just make sure you're very polite and you don't bullshit around it. You have to be
Yeah.
very,
Absolutely.
very honest
Absolutely.
and talk value,
Yeah.
100% value all the time.
And how do you talk value with it with hardware? You like literally showing them the product, or how you do it
Our
and
first
like matching the
conversation
needs?
always, yeah, our first conversation always needs to be like a general one of like, this is my main offering. That's what we do. A little bit of referencing. We do this at here, X, Y, and Z, and we want to understand if it's something of interest, right?
Yeah.
Eight out of 10, you'll see like half of interest. One you'll have very much interest, and the one won't be interesting at all, pending the fact that you did a good work on targeting the individuals. So that's one layer. The layer after that is the next conversation is much more tailored to better understand the site. And in any case, when you do a call or when you have a meeting, it's really important to understand who you're talking to, get some information on LinkedIn from him, where did he come from, what's his past company, the company itself that he works right now, how big it is, where they're going forward, how much money are they putting on innovation, and how much money are they putting on transformation, to make sure that you will have a lot of good connection points with that individual. So he'll feel that you're part of him. Like you understand him, you understand where he's coming from. It's going to be much more easier to get to the next stage when you have that kind of information and analysis before.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about fundraising. If you can share with us some numbers and the strategy behind going to investors and tell them, hey, look, that's the product. We need money, and then we'll go there and sell it because in the B2B market, deep tech. I know many people that first they have the plan, they have the product, um, even before like it's hard to make the product come true, but they have the plan and then they ask for money even before they have clients and even before they have the product itself. They just bring some bombastic things to prove that it's necessary to the industry. Now, tell me how you did it in that perspective and how much have you been raised to today, if you can share numbers, of course.
Yeah. So up till now, we raised $71 million in a number of rounds.
Yeah,
The last one was $45 million, led by Koch Industries, which is the biggest privately owned industry company in the world.
amazing.
Um, Look, fundraising is a tricky bit because it has different strategies and the different
Of
phases that
course,
you're
of
in,
course.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
When
Different
you do
pillars.
seed, you basically take money from anyone, and
Yeah,
once you get more bigger and more focused, you know exactly who you want to take money from and who's not, and basically they know who to give money or not. Um, I think that the main messaging that worked for us is the ability to provide change on a scale level to large organizations and industries. It doesn't mean the product itself is less important than the approach of why are you doing the change and how this change impacts both on money and how does it impact the industry. And then the product will change 100 times in the middle. So
yeah,
it's more about showing at the beginning it's 100% about the team. Later on it's about team and approach. After that it's team, approach, and product or service. As long as you get more money or you're getting bigger, you have to show how you connect into the market. It's really important to have client validation. It's really important to have of course first comers in terms of money coming in. So when you do a POC, don't sell yourself short. Make sure you take money for the POCs, so we can see that the client actually means business and
yeah,
willing to part from some money to show its seriousness. um, and at the end, it's you'll be surprised at the amount of time that it's not us, it's them. It's every VC, every angel has its own concept of where he's putting money. He might be talking about how much money he has, but at the end, his fund is already done and he doesn't have any money to give you. Like there's a whole set of like it's like dating. It's not
yeah,
it's not a one way thing. It's like an interview. It's not only a one way thing. You have to interview the other side as well to
yeah.
make
Of
sure that it's
course.
right for you and it has that money that
Yeah,
that need and willing to address. We're very fortunate to have a very good set of investors that are also very supportive in terms of the big picture and where we're taking it. Um, it's a tedious work. I can tell you that met hundreds of investors, and it's just never give up if you feel that you're good
yeah.
enough.
Now tell me, please, how have been you've interviewed the investors? What characteristics you've looking for in an investor, and how much is important, and how you grow the relationship with the investor or investors?
Um, So investors is the first tier is investors that can actually help you deploy and sell. So it's usually CVCs,
Yeah,
corporate VCs, or other corporates that have the ability to invest in you. That will be the first layer that we want to have in mind. given that you have to be in a later stage to actually have something you can sell. After that, it's the big VCs or bigger VCs that have an edge to your market. So we are an energy-based company, and our industries are energy-based. So there's a number of VCs that they target, green energy, efficiency, robotics, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the general ones, which is like the bigger guys who provide money on almost any scale. And then you deteriorate to
Yeah.
the smaller ones, to the niche ones, to money that is not mainstream. There's a lot of ways to get money today if you want to take the risk.
Absolutely. So, talking about relationships with investors now, let's talk about relationship with co-founders and hiring. How do you maintain the culture, the cultural spirit of the company, um, and how you minimize hiring mistakes to make sure you make as much little hiring mistakes to cut off very quickly.
First of all, know that you're going to make mistakes
Yeah, of course.
all the time. Just it's not about not making mistakes. It's me being big enough to admit them and then change them. That's uh, that's basics on any I think best practice for management. In terms of co-founders, pick your people before you start with them,
Hmm.
and then know how to understand where their limits are and know how to live with their limits as well. Make sure that there's a very, I would say, broad difference between the work and the pressures that you have work and then the personal relationship between you and the co-founders. Just make sure that you always talk to them, make sure that they understand that you value them because you are, and if you don't, you have to also say that, be very honest on what you have in mind. In terms of cultural fit in the organization, it's really important who are the core people that you invest in and hire. So the first 10 people that you have in your organization will define the organizational structure and culture, not the co-founders, but the core team. And then it will move into management. Who the managers that you will hire will basically dictate the cultural
Yeah, absolutely.
experiences that you have.
It's like a ladder. The co-founding team, and then the next people that join into the company. That's a way to direct the DNA and the culture. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. So right now I have a different question. I think that question will be a little tough, so get prepared. Have you, like, based on your experience, of course, have you ever experienced a sexual harassment case inside your organization? And what do you actively do to avoid sexual harassment or ethical discriminations of any kind right now in Percepto?
We never had one in Percepto, um, and we we really promote. First of all, there are legal things that you have to do. So you have to have someone here that is designated if there is a sexual harassment that they can talk to.
Absolutely.
You have to make sure that everybody understands that person is there for them. We have an HR department that also deals with that kind of if there is any complaint and how to deal with it. We really really promote forwardness here. Like people complain here on things because they feel free to talk to anyone here in the organization. The hierarchy here is very flat, meaning everybody's door is open to make sure that if there is something that happens, we'll know that as fast as we can. We can address it as fast as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last but not least question. Um, you're a very experienced guy, you know. You've been working as a product specialist in a company that been sold like on $150 million, and then in a company that went public through a SPAC, and right now you're the co-founder of Percepto. Tell me or teach me um, and share with us three unique milestones or lessons that you've been learned through your career that is so unique to you, especially to you, that you want to share with us.
Three unique milestones. Three unique. I'll give you three unique things that I think is relevant to anyone who does anything. I think the first thing is perception. Know how to
Perception.
take things in, know how to take things in perspective. If there's a deal went down or something happened, relax, take a breather, understand that nothing is
The
dead
process
because
of
of this.
processing issues.
Yeah, take time to process and put everything in perspective. You'll find out tomorrow, next week, that it was a blip on your world and nothing really happened. So make sure you don't make decisions based on it. Just wait a second, know how to digest it, and like I said, put things in perspective. The second thing is resolution. Anything that you look at it from a 30,000 foot view will look very simple. When you dive into it, it get more
It's
complex.
hard. Yeah, harder.
Yeah. So
Okay.
make sure that when you make a decision, before you make a decision, do that dive into the resolution to understand how complex this is going to be once you make the decision. This is on anything in the world, especially for managers. And the third thing is that always remind yourself that you're nothing without your employees and people.
Yeah.
Like a manager can be a manager, but he won't manage anything, won't complete anything because the hard work and things are done, literally done, because of your employees and nothing else. So make
Absolutely.
sure that you know that and appreciate it, and make sure that your employees know that they're the ones who are running the company, not vice versa.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you very much for being here, sharing with us your knowledge and your experience. It was a pleasure to have you here, talking to you. And thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.